Lovely. Okay, recording.
It's far away if you want to. You don't come in close there if you want to. We've got a few people online and then a few people that are sort of less in person today, so it's going to feel a little bit empty. But there's lots of people online.
Yes, yeah. So welcome online, welcome site. And we are, I'm going to share my screen in just a second. So on site, you can also, online, you can also see the presentation. And just to let everyone know it's being recorded, so we can actually send it out to you afterwards, so you can review it if you want, or show it to yeah.
Back later.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Okay, just thinking about it. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll move. Let's try again. That'll do. Okay. Okay, so I think most of you know this part already. So I won't go over this too much. It's just about who we are as a school. So we've got a middle-sized school, but I just want to draw your attention to the number of different nationalities we have. We've actually generally always been around 56, but we've actually got more different kind of countries join us more recently as well. So of all of the different cultures and countries we have represented in our community, there's only one kind of nationality that has a full support network around them, and that's our Hungarian community. So everyone else is kind of away from home, away from family, and so that's why our school is such an important kind of hub of our community. But that's okay. It's not so important. So that's why it's important to kind of start transition, start the relationship really early on. Lots of the things that we're going to talk about as well are completely relevant for anybody starting anywhere, and some of it is very specific to. So if I just, oh, it's not going to let me. There we go. We are accredited by CIS. We're being visited again in November for our re-accreditation. So we've been working all year on our project for that. But this is just basically a bit about us, a stamp of approval, basically, a quality mark. Also, draw your attention to L3, which is teaching English. So we are a centre of excellence for teaching English as an additional language as well, which is super relevant because we have 63 different countries and not many of them speak English at home. Okay. So as a bit of an overview, we have children starting with us at all year groups. We have some starting in year 12, but the majority of our new students are in years 1, 2 and 3, particularly year 1 and 2, where they move from kindergarten into school. But sometimes they come into year 3 also from kindergarten too. So there's a really diverse kind of group of children in our years 1, 2. We generally have 2 classes per year group. We have had 1 class per year group in year 1 because we had a smaller year 1 this year, but we had like a massive year 5. So we actually have 3 year 5 classes. So each year it depends very much on who we have. Right. So we're really going to focus very much on years 1 and 2 and joining us because that's when the children are youngest. It's probably their first experience of school ever, and so that's when the transition is kind of shakier for parents and for children too, potentially. So this is to kind of ease that transition into school. And again, drawing attention to the last one, our partnership with parents is essential. If your child's going to be successful and learn to their full potential, it is very much a partnership between home and school, and having that understanding is so important, and having that communication about everything from how your child's doing at home to their emotions, their feelings, what's happening at home. And we will do the same for school as well. So we all have a complete picture and can support the children best. Pass over to Dave to talk a bit specifically about Key Stage 1.
Thank you. So my name is Dave. I'm the Year 1 teacher, but Key Stage 1 coordinator as well. So we've met. I know a lot of you have already met. I'm in charge of Year 1 and Year 2. I also do a lot of work with parents in general. So you'll probably hear from me quite a bit over the course of your time here. What I want to highlight about Key Stage 1 is really where we start with the children. We know children come to us with an enormous range of levels and abilities and understanding in everything. And that can make for quite a diverse mixture in the classroom. So we focus initially on the skills that we can help the children develop. And hopefully with those skills, they can then access the rest of the curriculum and they will be successful as they go on through the school. And what we know are two things. We know that the place that you would go to develop a set of skills for a school is a school. So it's great to see you all here. You've made the decision to jump from kindergarten, sometimes Year 1, sometimes Year 2, sometimes a little bit older. I think you've made the right decision. We are going to help your children gather those skills, gain those skills that they need to be successful throughout their whole school career. And the other thing that we know is that if you make that leap a little bit earlier, so you come to us in Year 1 instead of Year 2, or maybe 2 instead of Year 3, depending on your decision making, we know the children that spend more time with us are more successful. Our data supports this, and I think holistically we recognise this as well because of the way we go about supporting the children. Really, in Year 1 and into Year 2, academics take a kind of second place. We will help them to develop things like their phonics and reading. That is essential because children access everything through their understanding of it, often read, often listened to as well, which means that they need to be able to understand what is going on. Lessons are practical, lessons are fun, lessons are investigative and often based around play. And that's how we chiefly help the children to transition into school. It feels a little bit different from kindergarten, of course, but it's not an enormous leap. And they go about building those skills in a fun, in an engaging way, which will mean they can then be successful from Year 3 up to Year 13. And we know, as I said, that we're very, very successful. Very, very important to us as well is to not just focus on the academic skills. As I mentioned, we focus on the emotional development of the children, the social development of the children, everything that goes into helping them be successful young people as well as successful learners. And these things usually have to come first. I think in Year 1, it's especially true. It would be impossible for me to start teaching the children to read and write if they cannot sit and listen for a couple of minutes, or if they're having enormous problems with their friends. They're never going to be able to concentrate on what I'm saying to them. So these set of skills usually come first. And we prioritise them by getting to know the children. The first few weeks that they're in my class and they're in the Year 2 classes, it's a getting to know you phase. We work out what the children need from us, and then we go about adapting our curriculum to provide for that as well. And again, we've highlighted parental involvement as well. That's part of our skill development. We'll be supporting you to support us, and also just supporting you to make your child's journey through school as positive as possible.
So I could talk a bit about Key Stage 2, although I think
I can see now. It's now unmuted.
Oh, thank you very much. We're saying just online, just imagine our phones that this is very important and intelligent.
Should be about that.
Oh, just chuckle, right. What was I saying? Oh, also, yeah, Hungarian is taught across the different phases, but also EAL as well. It's taught in 2 sets as well. Okay, I'll move on to. Susie, was that?
Yes. So what I'll talk about for the next couple of slides are some of the kind of practical things that we will do in school to support transition, some of the things that I can kind of recommend that you could do, or we can support you could do, that you can do at home. Ultimately, that is because we recognise there are going to be some challenges. And I think I won't put this through the ones we've got here, because I'm sure you can imagine what these challenges might be. And I'm sure you can imagine some other ones as well. We see them every single day. We deal with them every single day. And what I'm going to ask for you guys to do is communicate them to us every single day. If there is something that happens on your journey to school in the morning that sets your child up for a bit of an emotional day, then please let us know. It's going to be super helpful if we know that your child is in a bit of a grumpy mood because they did not get time for breakfast this morning. That's going to make a big difference to how they go about their day. And we're going to be confused about that if you don't let us know. Ultimately, we will speak to you at the end of the day. Every day, you will meet your child's teacher once or twice in the morning and then in the afternoon. That's our opportunity to communicate with you as well and say, this is the day your child's had them. They've just been super enthusiastic and, imaginative all day. So we'll go home and get an ice cream and give them a reward for, being so engaged. We might also come to you and say, I'm not really sure why, but they've been pretty sad and pretty upset for the afternoon, something to do with a friendship issue at playtime. We talk that through with them, but please continue that conversation at home. The reason is these challenges will come up, and if they're left untalked about, they will get bigger and bigger, of course, as you can imagine. So the more communication that we can have, the more likelihood there is that we'll be able to get these things sorted before they become big issues. So these are some of the kind of practical things that we will do and we will think about as teachers to support the transition to school. Sorry. The first thing to echo is what Marie mentioned about the ECAs being, the after school clubs being gradually phased in. The whole thing is gradually phased in, especially in year 1, and also for those children that join us in year 2 who are brand new to school. We go through a very gradual transition, and it starts before the school term even begins, the school year even begins. It starts with events like this. It starts with Step Up Day. It starts with visits that the children may have. And then in August, it starts with an afternoon where it's just the new starters. It gives everybody many, many chances to come into school and see the environment, meet their friends, meet their teachers. We do very practical things like Marie said about phasing in clubs, phasing in homework, especially for year 1 and year 2. And please don't think homework is some massive job. It's probably just a little bit of adding and taking away and a little bit of spelling practice. And it really is only to get into habits and to start sort of giving you guys an idea of how we learn at school as well. And particularly in year 1, we focus on routines, we focus on rules, expectations to give the children that very comfortable, very solid foundation in how school works so that they can then go on to express themselves and be confident and capable as they get a little bit further into school. Our learning is always play-based, it's always practical. Parents often say to us, "Oh, I'm worried about my child. They can't sit and concentrate for more than about 15 minutes. I'm really worried they're going to be in trouble at school because they can only sit for 20 minutes at a table." If you can get your children to sit for 20 minutes, concentrate, then please come into school and show me how this happens, because children can sit and concentrate for about 4 minutes when they're in year 1, and that is a very liberal estimate as well. We do not expect any more of them than that. Teachers have a very good, keen eye for when a conversation might be going a little bit sideways, children might be getting a little bit restless, and they will stop what they're doing and they will say, "Everyone jump up, let's dance, let's sing the next part of our learning, let's have a little rhyme or a little game or a little chant or something that gives the children the opportunity to be active, which we know that they need." Concentration is impossible if your brain is going at 100 miles an hour, so we give the children the space to show us what they need and then to give them what they need as well.
We work on like a buddy system. We always, when we come to organise our classes for next year, we think about who knows who comes from the same kindergarten, nationalities that might pair well together so that they've already got a little bit built friendship group, and that is going to help them to feel confident and comfortable quickly. Our PSHE lessons that I referenced a little while ago, those social and emotional learning experiences, are tailored to whatever we might need as well. It might be friendships that we need to talk about. It might be turn taking that we need to talk about. Whatever the teacher recognises their class needs, we put those things in place to make sure that the children have been exposed to those skills and that learning. And then you've got things like EAL, Marie mentioned, the support from our English as an additional language team. They come in, they take children out that need that really specific support. They also come in and push into lessons and support the teachers with an EAL-driven approach. What we know is the vast majority of our children have English as an additional language, even if they are fluent speakers of English. We have very few families where two British parents that are, speaking English their entire lives. So we know that those EAL strategies support everybody. So that's what we like. We get the team in, they support teachers to develop their strategies and help support the learners as well. And the point about communication here, when it comes to the transition to school, it's from a number of different perspectives. Marie and I visit the kindergartens that we get the majority of our children from. We do that in September. We go and see the environment. We meet the teachers there. We meet some of the children that might come and join us. Even if we end up meeting a load of children that don't join us, we know more about that kindergarten now. We know more about the history of the children that do come to us, and that helps us to make our decisions. We assess where our children are at, of course, to gather data. We need to know where the children are. But please don't think of assessments as being like your GCSEs or your A-level or degree level exams. The children do not sit and write on paper for 45 minutes. They do not sit in silence and complete calculations. We've just gone through our assessment period, and a couple of my parents in year one asked me when it would start because their children have come home and they've said, "How are your assessments going?" And I said to them, "It's already finished." So the children did their assessments in year one without even realising they were doing their assessments. And this is exactly where I want to be with it. I need the data, I need to know how they're doing, but I don't want them to get worked up and think that it's very, very important when really their progress is what the most important thing is. We have a strong homeschool partnership, exactly as we've talked about a couple of times, and this is just to re-emphasise that. It's a chain. It's you to us, and then me back to you, and then again and again and again, and these things just continue. And hopefully that means that the children are supported from both sides as well. And in a practical way, if you are looking to communicate with us, there are hundreds, probably too many to deal with all of them, different ways that you can talk to us. We have Canvas is our official platform for communicating with our parents, but you will get emails, you will have chats on the playground, you will have a parent handbook to support you, you will have photos that come home via a Google album to show you what's going on in the classroom. There's a whole load of different ways that you can learn about what's going on at school, and we can support, particularly in the early stages. And the workshops or webinars like we are here today as well, they start from the beginning of the year, and they will teach you everything you need to know, from the calculation policy through to how we teach reading, how we support children with additional needs. So there's lots and lots of information that we're going to give to you, lots and lots of information that we're going to get back from you that will facilitate that transition being nice and smooth. So on the next couple of slides, I want to share a couple of things that if you are looking for over the summer, practical things that you can do to support your children to be not more successful, just to drop in a little bit more that they're confident and they know what's going on. So some things that you can do are listed here. Role-playing stories are a really powerful way that children can explain to you how they're feeling without needing to explain their feelings. So if you find your children is feeling, your child's feeling a little bit sad or upset or overexcited or whatever it might be, you can put that into a story, you can get puppets out and you can tell that from a third person perspective, and that will enable your children, I think, to sort of successfully communicate to you how they're feeling without needing any specific language or specific kind of emotional vocabulary or even the understanding of their emotions. They will just be able to give this to you as well. So getting into a habit of talking about the day through stories is a very practical way of finding out how your child is doing, and it's something we use quite a lot as well. Communicate with us. Once again, I really want to emphasize that. Please let us know if it feels too small, if it feels irrelevant, then I would still encourage you to share it with us, because anything is, any information is part of the wider story and will help us build our understanding of what's going on. You could talk about the value of school children as well. I mean, it's a pretty common thing for a child to say, oh, I was bored today, I don't want to go to school tomorrow. Just little conversations about how school is useful for making friends, school is useful for enjoying yourself, school is useful because you're learning lots of new things and you're having fun. Treat it in a kind of light way. Don't make too much of it, but it's just a nice way to have those conversations from a kind of positive perspective. If you've got your child is, I don't want to get up today, I don't want to go to school, that can easily turn into a bit of a fight. I understand that. So come at it through that positive viewpoint as well. Remember as well, it's always normal for your child to be nervous. It's normal for you to be nervous. Anything that, and this is why we ask for those little bits of communication. Behavior is communication. So if your child is doing something that's a little bit out of the ordinary or unexpected, they're probably trying to tell you something. Communicate with us. We can hopefully then build that story, as I said. And here is Maria. I think will you share this afterwards? Share the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And of course, it's recorded as well. I don't want to go through this enormous list here to you. These are some of the very, very practical things that you could work on over the summer. That would help us certainly in the class. If I think about things like tying up shoelaces, we could spend all day tying up shoelaces. If your child can't tie their shoelaces, then fabulous. If they're in year one, probably Velcro shoes are a lot more appropriate because it's just going to speed things along. So like I said, these are some of the very, very practical things that you could work on in a kind of, these are play-based things, really. There's nothing here that is going to appear to be work or jobs for your child. And there's a lot of things I'm sure that you already do. And particularly if your child is coming into year two, they probably just have a little bit more experience of these things, writing names, for example, and recognizing numbers up to 10. You may well already be at that place as well. And then, fair play, we don't need anything else at that stage to build on.
I think this one as well, listening for several minutes is something that you can do just if you're reading your child a story. For 5 minutes, if they can sit and listen for 5 minutes, perfect. And it's fun for them to hear as well. But that's the kind of interactions they'll have in school as well. So, but these are things that you can do for fun at home, cutting things out, sticking things on. You can make a card for grandma or something, but that is actually building some of the school skills and fine motor skills that are going to be so useful for them when they come to school. The one thing I want to also draw attention to is the dress and undress by themselves. That includes when they have to get changed for PE, so having a bit of a practice. They have the shirts with the buttons. They don't have to be able to do up the buttons. They're a bit fiddly, but they should be able to get it on and off themselves. And at winter time, that's the
it's obviously out here because we're going out and about, in January.
There are like two adults in the room, but if there are 15 children, 20 children, they cannot help every child with snow boots and ski pants and gloves and scarves and things like that, because it will take the whole break time and they won't have time to go out to play. So they need to be able to do the majority of these things by themselves. So being able to practice putting on gloves or putting their hat in a sensible place.
Yeah, but you find it again later. Yeah.
That's also a really useful school skill. So that they have to get.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think the next slide, just a couple more of these things as well. Just a couple more of these ideas. These are perhaps a little bit more kind of school focused. Things like doing little jobs around the house. That's very helpful when they come to school because one of the first things we will learn is that if you make a mess, then you've got to tidy it up. So if they've already got some experience of tidying up, then that's going to help. And little jobs to help them feel responsible, help them feel independent. And as I said, a couple of these things you may well already be doing, and that's absolutely fabulous. But they're all going to help to give your child, a running start almost. They're going to come to school and it's not going to be a huge job because all of a sudden I'm asking them to kind of take responsibility for their winter hat, as Marie says. If they're already aware that these are my things and I need to keep an eye on them, I need to look after them, then that's going to feel totally normal. But I will just emphasize as well, if you do not do any of these things, it really isn't a problem. For us, because just like with the academics, we meet those children where they're at, we start at their level. It's exactly the same for things like this as well. I know that when we get to October and November, I will need to make my playtime a little bit longer so that those children can practice getting their snow boots and their snow pants and their coats on. And that is no problem for me. We'll have an extra 5 minutes for a couple of weeks, and then they will speed up and they will be able to do it. So if you don't get around to any of these things, please don't be concerned that your child is going to be hugely behind anybody else. That really isn't the case. Everybody's coming in at their own level. We recognise this, and that's where we start our support for them.
I think the last one about speaking loudly and clearly. They may not have much experience about speaking in front of a larger group. So being able to communicate so that everybody in the room can hear. Maybe if you have your family together, they can practice retelling something that happened, maybe an event that happened, or maybe, I don't know, the plot of Peppa Pig or whatever it is. Those kind of skills can easily be done at home without any it doesn't feel like work.
No preparation.
Yeah, no prep. But it's very transferable to school as well.
That one in particular is going to be is a great point, I think, because it helps with confidence more than it does with anything else. If your child is happy to stand up in front of 7 or 8 members of their family and tell them about their weekend that they've just had in a really fun way, in a really relaxed way, that's confidence. You know, that's a huge deal for them. They know those people, and that's fine. But there's a lot of them, and they're all staring, they're all watching, they're all listening. It's a big deal. And when we come to school, of course, we don't know people. So being able to then replicate that with a smaller group and then a larger group is going to be very, very positive and very, very helpful. And I think about the Christmas performance this year for Key Stage 1. Their absolute performance, they just smashed it because of that confidence level they had in getting up and singing and talking and dancing in front of, the auditorium here was completely full of the whole school and then of their parents. And that is because of this type of skill building, which we do, and it's fabulous for you guys to do to support as well. Just makes them feel happy and confident.
And just a quick note, if your child doesn't speak English yet or isn't confident in speaking English at the moment, then practicing this in your home language is also fine. It's a very transferable skill. It's the confidence and the voice that is the issue that we to practice, not the language.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Again, a great point. Always in your home language. Perfect. If you think, well, I'm not very confident with my English, or I haven't read this story, so I'm not feeling very confident with it, then just talk in whatever language is the most comfortable for you, your home language. Have those discussions. It's all skill building and all relevant. So specifically now, I want to talk a little bit about kind of dealing with the emotions that you might experience over the first few weeks of school, or indeed over the first few years of school. It's all on a spectrum, and it's all something that we expect to happen. Going back to that idea of role play and storytelling being a way that your children can communicate how they are feeling, drawing is another way to do this as well. Some of the sessions that we hold in school with our specialists for support for these kind of things, they revolve around drawing therapy, to help those children communicate what it is they're feeling or dealing with without having to talk about it. Puppets are a great idea as well. It's very powerful as a teacher when you pull out the little Owlek puppet and all of a sudden the children are totally glued to Owlek and listening to everything he says. Whereas, it's obviously my hand and my voice. 5 seconds ago when it was me talking, they weren't listening. Puppets are just children love them. Obviously, that's why cartoons are so successful. A great way to communicate with your children in a stress-free, kind of less pressure way as well. It's really important as well that you show them that you also feel emotions. One of the most important things that teachers do is model the way that adults deal with things. Maybe that's the way that we deal with an interaction between me and my teaching assistant. It might be that something's gone wrong and I'm dealing with a mistake that I've made. These are really, really powerful things that you can also do. So you can model frustration. Oh, I was cooking the dinner and everything's been burnt. Like, I'm so frustrated by this. Be very, very explicit. I don't know what I'm going to do now because I'm just feeling cross. I'm feeling annoyed and we haven't got any food. Oh, maybe we could call in for pizza, or maybe we could just go for a walk instead and get some fresh air, and I'm sure I'll feel better. Be very explicit with the way that you're modeling, working through your emotions, and that's going to support the children first to know that feeling things is completely normal, and also it's going to start to give them the skills they need to deal with this as well. And that last question about who could help me is such a big deal. Getting the children to understand that asking for help is totally normal and what we need them to do. Mistakes are normal. Mistakes are what we need you to make. Ask for help if you can't do it. Ask for help if you are stuck. And that help can come from anywhere. In my class, I know if I ask the children to tell me what they would do if they're stuck, they will start chorously reciting to me, ask your friend, ask an adult, look in a book, all of these kind of things that they've learned are ways to help themselves. Starts with the way that you show, when I'm stuck, this is what I do, this is who I go to. I would also say as well that one of the most powerful things you can do is just have a discussion, just talk about it. It's likely that your child will come home and say, I can't remember what I did at school today. If they say that, then I would say everything's probably gone absolutely fine. If they've just forgotten the entire day, then probably nothing came up that was an issue. And I would say carry on with your evening as normally as you would do anyway. But if they are talking to you about things, if they are bringing things up, then don't be quick to dismiss any kind of fear or nerves that they might have. It's too easy to say, oh, you don't need to worry about that. It's only a little thing. If you do that, there is a risk that you're saying, you know, your fear, your worry that you're feeling is not relevant. It's a bit silly because we shouldn't really worry about those things. So just give them the space to discuss it and kind of recontextualize if you can. If you can say, oh, my friend today, they didn't want to play football with me at playtime. You know, you can talk about that. And you say, okay, what about the rest of playtime? Did you play with somebody else, or in the afternoon at playtime, or in the morning at playtime? What else did you do? Did you talk to that friend? Okay, it sounds like, you know, you might have just had a little time where you didn't want to play football together, but it sounds like you were talking normally with each other for the rest of the day. So, you know, great job. I think you dealt with that really, really well. It helps them to understand that their feelings are completely relevant. Things that they're worrying about are relevant. Perhaps not as big as they might think they are, but equally not completely something that they need to just forget about as well. Some practical ideas as well, if you're, this I think will be particularly helpful if you're interested in finding out about what's going on. Keeping a diary, you know, over the holidays, we suggest this is things for parents to do. You could just keep a little video diary or a written diary if your child can of what they're doing each day. And then you could ask them to do that about school as well. And that's going to help you to get a better understanding about what's going on. Sharing your past, you know, your school experiences as well is a really, really powerful way of saying, you know, I was in your position, I was once 5 years old. As hard as that is to believe, and this is what my school looked like, and this is what I did, and it sounds like something you've done today, and things like that. And if you've got any older siblings as well that are here, or they might be elsewhere, they can be a guide for how their kind of school experiences have gone and the things that they've got into, and help the children, the younger children, kind of process those emotions as well. So I think what I really want to highlight is that emotions are totally normal. Feeling things is totally normal. It's almost like what you do the next with those feelings that's the important thing. Being angry is normal. Shouting and screaming, you know, that's something that we want to work on and, you know, maybe change, make a different decision about what you do with that emotion. But that emotion is very relevant, very real. So please don't, you know, minimize these things, marginalize them, talk through them in a normal way. And that would be a very helpful thing to do.
I think also it's very normal for children to feel about starting school a very mixture of emotions. So they may feel very excited because it's big school, or maybe they have a sibling who comes here, or maybe they've visited before and they've seen the swimming pool, or so they're excited. But they're also a bit nervous because they're not sure if they will know everybody. It's a new teacher. Maybe they don't speak the language so well. They're not so confident in English yet. So there's lots of worries as well, and it's okay to feel like a mixture of different things and to talk through. And maybe to talk through your own experience and say, yeah, I was really nervous too on my first day, and that's really normal. I think even grown-ups, when they start something new, are really nervous about it because you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what it's like. But then you give it a try, and it's fine afterwards. And when I went to school for the first time, I was really nervous, and afterwards I came home and it was such a fun day, and I was so excited about it after that. If you can share, yes, this was a feeling I had, but it turned out okay, then that's really helpful and really powerful in communicating and reassuring your child too.
A couple more slides. This I want to highlight to you the ways that you can become involved. I have never worked in a school with a more engaged parent community than here at Britannica, and it is one of the most powerful things that we've got at our disposal to help the children be successful. So I invite you guys, if you're new to the school, if obviously you've got older siblings, then you're already involved, but please be as involved as you want to be, as you can be. Here are some of the ways that you can do it. We've talked about, so the Teddy Bears Picnic is one of our transition events. That's as much for the parents as it is for the children to come in and take a look. Practical things like discussing tomorrow's timetable whilst you get prepared, that helps you be more involved. Our photo album that I talked about as well, that gets added to on a weekly basis, so you'll be able to see into the classroom, see what's going on.
That's very helpful for starting conversations with your child, actually. My daughter would always say, how did you do it at school? And like, what, you know, what's your favourite thing? I can't remember. I don't know. Nothing. And then I'd look in the album and say, didn't you do a science experiment? She'd say, oh, yeah. And that starts the conversation. Or you can actually look at the pictures so you can see how they're doing, but then show your child and say, what was this about? Describe this to me. And you'll get a much richer kind of sharing of conversation with your child with that picture as a prompt.
Yeah. We invite parents to join us on trips as well. It's always useful to have more adults to help us. But if you are available, then please come and join us. We will let you know where we're going and when we're going, and you can come along on the bus with us. Next week, year 1 on Monday are going to ride the Children's Railway. 5 or 6 of the parents will come and join us for that as well. And it is a nice experience because it gives me more adults to support me, but also it's like a beautiful day out for the community in that sense. So it's fabulous if you can come, and it's another way that you can see what we do, see how we interact with the children, and see how they get on. We invite parents into the classroom. This is all year groups. We'll invite parents into the classroom quite frequently as well. It might be for the start of a topic. If we do something that's about the cultures represented in our classroom, then it's really useful to have the parents come in and talk about their home lives, talk about their cultures to us. We might invite you in to come at the end of a topic and see what work that we've been doing, and we'll present it to you. We might just invite you in to come and hear us sing a song that we've been learning, do a dance or something along those lines. You will get tons of opportunities to actually come into the classroom as well. So if you can take them, then that's great for everybody, and it shows your kids that you're as committed to their schooling as they are as well, and that's a great message. The point about clubs there as well is this is an opportunity for you to get your child involved in new interests and things like that as well. The range of ECAs that we have is enormous, and it will be an opportunity when it comes around for your child to experience something new, experience something that maybe you're interested in. If you played football when you were younger, then your children can join a football club and they can get a sense of the things that you enjoy, and make that connection as well. So it's just another way for you to push that involvement and for yourselves as well.
One other thing is we have a parent app called ClassList, which parents are all connected to each other. So if your child is talking about a kid in their class they really like called Bruno, you can type in Bruno, and their parents will come up, and you can then type to the parents and say, hey, my child is talking about your son, would you like to arrange a play date? But if would also encourage, we're going to set everyone up on ClassList before we start the school year as well. So if you do want to set up a play date with anybody before school start, that really helps them they get to know other kids, they start to get excited that they know somebody, and you start to build that community, and it's good for you as parents as well to connect with other parents in the year group too.
Yeah, that's right. We'll also, it's not listed there, but each class has a parent representative or a pair of parent representatives working together. And these people are often, they'll be approached by the teacher because we know they are super enthusiastic, or, people that we think are going to suit this role really well. And it's a kind of linchpin of the parent communities. They will collect ideas and collect feedback in a practical sense, but they may also be the one that's kind of driving the parent chat group and, organising these things. So it's just a great way for the community to be kind of centered around the class. And I mention that because if anybody's interested in being parent representative, please come approach your teacher at the beginning of the year. It's a very rewarding role. We'll invite you in at the end of the year to celebrate you as well, so you get to stand up and have a round of applause. So there's always that as well. So this is just a summary of what Maria and I mentioned about this whole kind of transition experience that you are going to have. And I think the key things to take away from this morning, there's obviously a lot of information. The key things to take away, if we had to sum it up, I think the first one would be communication. We're going to communicate a lot with you about what's going on. And as I've said a few times, please communicate with us about what is happening, what you're seeing going on at home. That is going to make our jobs much, much easier. And you get so many opportunities to do that as well. If it's just a passing conversation at the beginning and at the end of the day, perfect. If it's an email, if you need to speak to us face to face, if you need a Teams call, absolutely perfect. We're always going to be available to do these things for you. So please communicate as much as possible. Communicate with your fellow parents as well, because they're going to provide a support group for you as much as the children will support each other. And I would also say just keep that communication going with your children as well, in those ways that we talked about, that are stress-free, that are a little bit lighter, drawing stories, whatever you might need to do. Communicate with your child each day as well. And that way we will all have a better understanding of what is going on. And ultimately as well, be as involved as you can be. As I said, we really invite you to be part of the community as much as you can. If that is just the odd time that you come into school because your work schedule is very, very busy, we appreciate that. If you've got the opportunity to be more involved, then please take it, and please become, part of the fabric of our kind of school as well. It's always going to be better for the children if parents are involved in a great degree. And I think that's everything as far as transition goes.
Just prioritise sleep. I think
That's more of a message to me.
sleep chart here as well. But actually, children need quite a lot of sleep, and they will get quite sleepy. Certainly if they're starting at the beginning of year one, because they are very little. There was one girl at the beginning of this year.
Mum said to me that she gets in the car at 3:45 and goes to sleep. They take her out of the car to sleep, put her into bed. She gets up the next morning and just goes back to school again. So she's like, no, at the beginning of the year, she was just living solely at school. That was only the waking hours were at school. So for her, it was a very intense beginning of the year, but she was getting enough sleep. Yeah, well, she still is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Cool. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I think one way to really start discussions with children about starting school, especially if they have any anxiety, any worry, but even if they're excited, just to get them thinking about what school is going to be like. There are some examples here that I like, but also you could just Google it. It doesn't have to be in English as well. It could be in whatever language you speak at home. It could be on ebook. And actually the last one actually, because when my daughter started school, I had my school uniform. I particularly chose that book because it was personal, because Evie loves unicorns. She's much too cool for unicorns now. She's in the grand old age of 8, but when she was 5, then unicorns were the coolest thing. And the main character in this book is called Evie. It's like, oh, it's me. And it was about a little girl starting school, and she was a bit scared. And so she went to get a school uniform, but ended up with a school unicorn that she put in the pocket. And by the end of it, she realized that she didn't need that unicorn anymore for support, because school was cool, and she wanted to give it to somebody else who might be a bit nervous. So it's those kind of things that you can, it's a really strong message, and actually children will find it easier to understand their feelings, their fears, and also that it's going to be okay through a story like this than just a back and forth conversation.
Yeah.
We have this Kitty. We wanted to what happened?
Oh, well, surely. No, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's back.
I'm psychology, but also a teacher of psychology, and so primary section. I work in this school for 10 years now, and I see kids for different reasons. We basically play. This is what the rumor says. Anyone who comes to me, they're playing. So the idea is that, of course, how you already described, that they're all different, and then we deal with situations with different emotions, with different expectations, and sometimes some children would need some extra help to support these emotions. So we have this place in my office where we can talk about these emotions, we can work through these emotions, we play. I have sessions per group, such as I have like 4 to 3 kids in my group. I work on social communicational skills or emotional development, how to regulate your emotions, but also options for counseling sessions as well. And of course, private consultations. And it's open from year 1 to year 13, but I work with from year 1 to year 6 at this stage. Thank you.
questions?
Yeah, so some of these were, we've got some SAPs.
Yeah, always ask.
How does starting a new school affect a child? The answer is every child is different. Some children are naturally extroverted and might find it a little easier. Some children may already have friends from kindergarten and they might find it a little easier. Every child is different, basically, but I think the more you do to talk about and prepare them and get them here. So when we have like events, we got Step Up Day coming up, Teddy Bear's Picnic for Year 1, with the orientation afternoon. Then as much as you can, get them to come and experience the space, the people, and it just takes away the mystery and will help them feel more comfortable. And also, like I said, trying to organise play dates so they know somebody. If they don't know anyone yet, try and organise a play date so that they will feel more comfortable. The more things they know, there's less scary it will feel. The next question: how long does it take a child to settle into school? It's the same answer. Every child is different. Some children will after a day they'll come home and then the next day they'll be ready to go and they will feel absolutely happy and comfortable. They will just say bye mum and walk into class without any kind of separation anxiety or anything. And some children will take a little longer, and I think the best thing is to be talking to their teachers about how your child is feeling, and that communication is really useful.
It's not. It's important to notice as well that it's not a linear process. Your child might be super comfortable from August the 26th. For 2 months, they might show absolutely no sign of worry at all, and then all of a sudden, nothing perceivably has changed. But your child is now very nervous about coming into school. Again, communicate with us. We can get to the bottom of why this might be. But yeah, just be aware. A change in how you feel about your day-to-day life is totally normal.
So what are the signs if your child is not settling well? Maybe they are refusing to go to school or throwing a tantrum, but actually really expressing emotion in crying, shouting noisily. Then, or when you even try and talk about school, if they're showing signs of separation anxiety, maybe more than they were before, and maybe if they're changing their eating or sleeping habits. If these things are happening, then we need to talk with Kitty and we'll make a plan together to make it easier. We have in the past had parents who know that when their child started kindergarten, they were very anxious and it took months to settle, and there was lots of crying in the mornings and maybe throughout the mornings, and receiving phone calls from the kindergarten. And so they've come to us early and said, you know, I don't want to go through that again. It was really difficult. And so what can we do? And the earlier you tell things like that, the more we can make a plan. We had one child who their transition into kindergarten was incredibly difficult, and the mum was very anxious about starting here for that reason. So what we did was we got her to come in with him to help out for translation. Over a period in the summer term. And so by the time he started in the August, he'd already been in the classrooms. He knew the teachers. He was like, oh, yeah. As he came in and just walked right in. And my mum, she was shocked. It was not what she was expecting, but it was because he'd been in school and knew everybody and had all the friends. And it just not so comfortable by that point. But because we knew super early that there was this problem with anxiety, we were able to put a plan in place. And that's why communication is so important, and early communication is so important, because there is always something we can do when we work together.
And children are very flexible, very adaptable if they're given the right support and the right environment to demonstrate that. So they'll always be able to make a change. They'll always be able to do something different. And often, as Marie says, that's going to be very surprising to you that they've managed to do it in such a way. So yeah, give them the space and the support they need to do that. Any questions? Go ahead. Yes, Marie's going to share it, I think, or Sandra at least is.
Yeah, I'll go through Sandra, but we'll share the recording and also slides. Is there any questions online as well? Well, there is something in the chat. Oh, telling me the audio is cut when I had to press mute by accident. How about uniforms? So on the step up day in the auditorium where we are at the moment, then Sandra is going to be back here. And you have an opportunity to come and try on uniforms. And then she will help you through the ordering process. Ordering can be done through the website, it's just an online order form, and it can be delivered to the school. Sometime, if you start ordering now, it's quite a period, but it's the busiest period in August and September. So sometimes there are delays for the uniforms arriving. If that happens, don't worry. Your child can just come to school without uniform until it arrives. So there's absolutely no stress whatsoever. We also have a swap box. The other side of this wall over there, we have a swap box, which I find is super useful for families, because when your child outgrows something, it's still in good condition, we put it in a swap box so other families can just come and take it for free. And then when they're finished with their uniform, they can put it back in. That way it makes it a lot cheaper and more eco-friendly for everybody, so we don't have to keep ordering.
Yeah, cool. There's a question online about parking the car to drop off children. It's a very relevant question. We've got parking and the streets around the school you can also park on. However, things can get very, very busy at drop off and pick up time. Our security guards are out there kind of coordinating traffic as best they can. So yes, there is no problem using the parking space around the school. We just ask parents to be respectful of each other, respect of the children in the environment, drive safely, and also just give a bit of space, maybe allow a bit of extra time. But to date, no real problems with bringing children in and dropping them off. Everybody's usually here.
I think that every year we do have a neighbour complain that somebody has parked in front of their garage because they dropped the car off and run into school to get their children. So we do ask, please be respectful of the neighbours and don't block them in. But if you were late to collect your child from the upper playground, because you couldn't find a parking spot, it doesn't matter, because the teachers are very reassuring and we will look after them until you arrive. We have late pickup, which is kind of especially the little ones absolutely love it, because there's all kinds of construction and there's crafting and then there's books and all kinds of games and things that they play in there. So they will be taken to late pickup and they will be cared for then. So if you can't find a parking spot, don't worry. Got them.
Anything else? What is the process of signing up for after school activities? So we have a system called School Cloud, which is an app on your phone, or it can be on the computer, and it's actually quite easy to sign up for. We also did Parents Afternoon, which ended up being quite hard, but we've ironed out all of the creases, and now that's very easy too. And so you get a booklet sent home, and you get to look at the booklet with your child and choose which clubs you want. Then you sign up online and say what your first choice is, your second choice, and then basically our system has an algorithm, so it allocates people to clubs, and then you'll get an email notification to say which club your child has received. Some of the clubs are quite popular, so they might go on the waiting list for some of them, so it's good to have a backup just in case as well. Oh, my battery's running.
Another question there about meeting your teacher, specifically about year two. Year two classes, all the classes are all still in the mix. We are almost, we've almost finalised the lists. But the point at which you will get to meet your class, meet your teacher with your child is going to be step up day next, which is in a couple of weeks' time on Monday. So yes, you will get the opportunity to meet your teacher, meet all the other children that are in your class. And then, as we listed before, all of the various different opportunities that you get to kind of communicate with your teacher, meet them, discuss with them. They all go on throughout the year as well. So yeah, the relationship will start soon at Step Up Day, which is in a couple of weeks' time.
You should say it's student on this day or not?
It depends. It depends. The new starters, particularly in year 1 and year 2, the parents do stay with us. Sometimes the children will try to sort of shoo their parents away and they kind of want to be there by themselves. And we invite you to leave if you want to. But equally, that time is for you as well to come and meet the teachers and have a bit of a chat. And particularly in year 1 and 2 with the new starters, Marie and I will do a little bit of an introduction just with the parents before as well, and leave the children doing an activity with other adults. Sorry. But yes, you want to say? I think there's nothing else coming through on Thank you. No problem at all. Thank you very much for coming. Contact details for myself, Marie, for Kitty, on the slide, some share them. Obviously, if you can't remember our email addresses, then just go to Sandra Retail, actually go through the application process. Ultimately, Step Up Day is only a couple of weeks away. So see what we get in a couple of weeks with the children and get things started, I guess. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
After all that. Thank you online.
Gonna end it.
I'm gonna